Hello, gentlemen, ladies. Since the new set of TFT has launched, I don't know about you guys, but I've played about one game a day while super stoned. That's been my extent of my TFT experience for the past week or so, because after launch day, I was not about to play a contested 2-cost reroll meta. You know, guys, I play the game at a very high level, but I mostly play the game for fun at this point, and nothing about a contested 2-cost reroll meta is fun to me. So not a great patch to start the new set on, but today we'll be reviewing the patch 14.6 rundown by MortDog. Now, I haven't watched this at all. I'll be live reacting and giving a meta read for the new patch that's going to be going live on Wednesday. So I'll be giving a live read, right? I do know some of the changes coming, and just a heads up before we get into this, I'm going to title this video something like, is TFT set 12, can it be saved? Whatever. Guys, I think the launch patch was not good. It's not the worst launch patch ever, but it's on the lower end of launch patches. Not very good. It didn't help that we didn't have a B patch because of EWC is probably why I didn't want to have a B patch. I'm not really sure. So not great, right? But this set has a lot of good pieces. It has a lot of things set up that this set could be really good. And I think the devs have a lot of tools to make the game very good. So hopefully they'll course correct on this next patch. And I do think they do need a strong course correction, or I just know how TFT players are. They're not going to play the game. So hopefully they can course correct really hard on this. And if they can't, hopefully we get a B patch or something like that. That'll fix it. So I have high hopes for the next patch. So let's hear what MortDog has to say, and we'll get into it.
2 weeks have passed since the launch of Magic and Mayhem, and it is time for the patch 14.16 rundown.
As loud as I can make it, guys.
And generally, it's been pretty good. There's a really good base in there, a lot of fun origins and champions, and the charms have landed really well as well. That being said, some augments and a few champions definitely out of line. Syndra. Sorry. A little cold today. But, you know, that's what the first patch is here for. We're here to make some adjustments and get the patch in an even better spot. And the nice thing is, when you have a really solid base of a really good set, a couple balance changes is easy versus like having to giant rework and stuff like that. So overall, feeling pretty good. Let's not keep you waiting. Let's jump into it and go over all the changes.
Yeah, as I said, guys, I think, as Mort said, I think this set has a lot of the good pieces, and let's hope for a good patch here.
First up, on the system side, all
those
golems
are way too strong. Way too strong.
The augments, those golems are beefy. They are doing a lot. And all those golems are pretty much overpowered.
Guys, so any golem augment is a free win streak on stage 2, assuming you can make a board. Yeah, this golem shit is so broken.
All the golems.
It scales really well.
From 65 to 55. Base HP is going to go down from 600 to 550. Now, keep in mind, support golem has the 250 health from the support items. So support golems are still pretty beefy here. Yeah. And then their ability damage is also going down. Honestly, they're still going to be really good. But yeah,
if you guys didn't know, the double support golem, I believe that's a prismatic. Yeah, that is like the highest win average of an augment, or maybe highest placement average, something like that. At least at some point in this patch, it was pretty nuts.
They won't quite be maybe 57, 58% top 4 rates.
Hopefully it's insta-cop.
But expect them to still be pretty good here.
Because you could roll some of the worst items ever, and just like the HP and value added to your board is just too insane.
Traits. Blaster. I think this is a pretty small change.
Yeah.
But when blasters are not in their damage amp state at 2 and 4, they're going to be a bit stronger. So this is like at the start of a fight before they've cast, or if there's a bigger than 3-second window, they'll be a little stronger here. And then 4 blaster will go from 45 to 50. So 4 blaster will be a little stronger. That being said, I play a lot of blaster on PvE. They seem okay. Hui's okay.
This helps out the attack speed Varus build. Because a lot of times you end up, if we're going to have a 4-cost meta, right now this isn't true because nobody looks to play 4-cost unless it's Karma. But on PvE, a lot of times you'd build Rageblade, and then you're looking to play Kalista, but you have to settle for Varus. And Rageblade's not that bad on Varus because of Pyro and how that works, and his base attack speed is very high because of all the Pyro stacks already. And this is going to help him even better because his base damage amp. So it makes Rageblade on Varus a lot better item, which is cool. And if you have to go to the Rageblade Deathblade build that you're trying to play Kalista, yeah, this is cool. This is a good change for blasters. And as well as Tristana and stuff like that, Rageblade Tristana builds, that sort of thing.
Still pretty good, but there also weren't any buffs at 6, so yeah. But who knows? Maybe it'll help Varus out a bit.
Yeah, it should help Varus.
Fairy Vertical has definitely been struggling a bit.
Yeah, Fairy Vertical sucks.
2 for that item. It's like a free item for your Kalista.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't really play it. So 4 and 6 is going to get a buff. 4 is going to get the damage item is going to get their damage amp buff.
Dude, 6 needed a buff bad.
4 and 6. And then if you have 6, you have the armor, and the armor is going to be more powerful. More healing and shielding, more HP, and more healing from the queen, the one wearing the crown. So hopefully this helps Fairy a bit to be in a bit of a better spot. Frost, very light touch here. 180 in AP at 3, 5 at 3.
So does this mean that Vertical Fairy is going to be good? I don't know.
At 5, 7, and 9.
We need to see some Katarina changes. If Katarina gets buffed, 4 Fairy reroll is probably going to be really good. 3 cost.
So Vertical Frost getting a pretty chunky buff here.
My hero looks crazy.
5 and 7 Frost quite a bit better. So definitely check that out. Preserver, definitely, it's like right below the S tier stuff, but Preserver is a very powerful trait, really flexible. It's getting its...
All right, guys, unless the Frost units are getting buffed, like Frost Opener is still going to be like so sad because like you have to actually kill units for Frost to do something. So that's unfortunate.
Healing nerfed at all levels, and its mana gain nerfed at 4 and 5. Still very good from what we've seen. That being said, there is a change here where Preserver ticks while a unit is mana locked will now grant that mana after the mana lock ends.
Ooh.
So this is one of those nice quality of life things where...
That's a nice quality of life. I don't think this is something you're really going to notice that much, but...
If you would have got a tick beforehand of, let's say 12 mana, but you were mana locked, you'd lose it.
You're not going to notice this, but it definitely makes a difference.
We'll fix it. So a bit of a quality of life change there, but overall this should be a nerf to Preserver, but very light from what we've seen.
It should be a good nerf, but like Preservers are so good, so it shouldn't really affect them.
Some Preserver Wukong still doing quite well.
Affect their viability.
Scholar's going to get buffed to 6 and 12. Does it change much? We'll see. But hopefully it helps Scholar out a bit.
It's just really hard to run 4 Scholar units because one of them has to be named Bard. Bard gives you a lot of traits, and that's cool. But like, then you're running 4 Scholar. I don't know. It's just a little weird. There's definitely gonna be some 4 Scholar tech, especially if Rise gets some changes, or if 4 costs are just strong. Then I could see 4 Scholar being a meta comp.
And then Warrior. Warrior's another one here. You don't really see much beyond 2 Warrior. You'll see a lot of Gwen Fioras or Katarina +1s or Neela Akali's, but you don't really see a lot of 4 and 6. So 4 and 6 is gonna get a buff.
How much is this buff? 2% on all of them. Damage amp. You might actually play this 6 Warrior now. 6 Warrior might be viable.
4,
we'll see.
2% damage amp, Omni Vamp. 6, 5%. Honestly, we'll see.
I think you only play 4 if you get it for free. Like the traits just make so much sense. And then like if you get a +1 on like a wacky portal, like I definitely could see 6 Warrior being good.
But
if a Kali reroll is good and stuff like that. Kali.
Sure some of you are looking at this going Fairy and Warrior. That must mean Katarina. So hopefully Katarina can be playable.
Yeah, hopefully. I think Katarina herself needs a little bit of buffs. We'll see.
On the small side, Bastion 6 and 8 are going to get a buff.
Or maybe she doesn't need a buff, just like if all the 2 costs aren't very good, if people are playing 3 costs, maybe she'll be good. We'll see.
5 more armored MR.
She's really bad, though. I try to make her work a lot.
Again, minor stuff. And then the other one here is, it felt really weird to have this Chrono Stop, this 2.5.
Be mindful about this change here. This shouldn't matter, but be mindful if there's going to be like some stall Rise comp or stall like Scholar comp. Like just keep this in your noggin. Keep this in your back pocket. Thinking about Ahri, Rise, they buff Scholars. Like Bastions are the natural front line to run with Scholars. Just keep that in your mind that those are stall champions and they like to have a big front like this. Think about this as a potential option. Let's think about that.
Half-second stun, which feels like crowd control, and then you'd have a Quicksilver, and you're like, why is it still working? It's very weird. It's very unintuitive. So we decided to change it so that if you're immune to CC, you are immune to CC.
Yeah, so I think that's a good change. It's really weird. Like you build a QSS and you're not immune, and then also like Olaf is supposed to be immune to CC. It's just like, I don't know.
So
yeah, this is good.
Maybe a better item here as well.
Yeah.
4 Chrono, 6 Chrono, small bit of a nerf here.
It feels really hard to build Quicksilver Sash.
But yeah, it makes more intuitive sense.
That's a good change.
All right, on the 1 cost side, Jace 3 gets a very small AD ratio buff. So if you want to invest in Jace 3, he's...
You know, guys, I actually think Jace 3 is like sleeper good. The problem is everything else is just too good around it. I could see like a portal reroll Jace, Zoe, and Vanguards. Jace, Zoe, Galio, Warwick, maybe. I don't know. Maybe keep an eye on that.
Spell will hit a little harder. Cool.
I think Jace 3 is actually good. He just was way outshined.
Lilia, bit of a buff for Lilia and for Fairy and early stuff like that. 10 off the mana. So cool.
Guys, keep this 1 cost reroll mage setup in your mind, in your little noggin. I think Seraphine is actually a very good unit if you have healing reduction. I think she's absolutely broken if you have a Morello and mana gain. It's just like the conditions in which she's actually strong on stage 2 is so specific that makes her like not that good. But with this mana change, if you can get a Morello, maybe you don't have to have, or a red buff, maybe you don't have to have mana gain as well to make her like she's an absolute beast if you get both of those items combined. But it's just like the conditions you have to meet in which she's strong on stage 2 and stage 3 is too high to meet it regularly. But maybe with this mana change, you just need one of those, just need healing reduction. And maybe this could be a viable reroll comp. We'll see.
Buff for Lilia. Seraphine and Soraka, 2 of probably the worst champions in the set right now. That being said, even though they're bad, they are getting some connected buffs.
Yeah, again, I think their designs are good. I just think their numbers are not quite there.
Soraka can do well in Sugarcraft. We don't want to overbuff everything. And with obviously a lot of the best stuff being nerfed later, we don't want to go too hard. That being said, they get a little bit here. So Seraphine.
Yeah, they both Lilia as well.
And Soraka getting about an 8%, close to 10% spell damage buff.
Guys, really keep in mind this like reroll mage shit. Think about it.
They'll hit a little harder.
We'll see.
And then Warwick, this poor guy, there's such a fun dream in there. If you can get his attack speed ramped up, it should be a lot of fun.
Dude, the problem with Warwick, man, Warwick is cool. The problem with Warwick is he's only viable with the item Vampiric Scepter. and maybe he'll end up being more viable. Maybe this will be enough to, I don't know, probably not, but maybe this will be enough to where you could actually play him reroll without that. Maybe a different scenario. But the other problem with that is the only champion that is good with Vampiric Scepter is Warwick. So it's like it's worth like actually taking the item, you know? Like there's some other champs that are good with it, but it's not worth like taking the item, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, Warwick's weird. I like the Warwick fantasy is there. Like I think he's cool, but it's just like I don't know how they're going to balance this guy ever.
It's never really paying off. So getting a pretty small buff here at 1 and 2 star, but pretty sizable one at 3 star here. So if you can get one,
yeah, the 3 star is good.
I know Vampiric Scepter is pretty good. From what we've seen, it's pretty good and falls off. But if you can start like 2-1 with a Vampiric Scepter and a Warwick 2, pretty good start.
See, that's the problem. That's the only viable pathway is Vampiric Scepter.
So, pretty skeptical it'll be S tier or anything like that, but hopefully this makes him playable. So yeah.
They did buff Frost. I don't know.
All right, 2 costs. Well, good thing there haven't been any problematic 2 costs this patch. No, Ari is going to get a small buff here. Pretty small. You can see here it's only like 5 base.
Guys, all right, do you remember what I just said? They buffed Galio. They buffed Jace. They buffed Galio. They buffed Jace. Zoe was already good. They're buffing Ari, which is the additional carry you add to the comp, and then you play some Arcanas with, what's his face? Tom Kench later. Keep that in your little noggin. I'm not saying that's going to be good or anything, just it's something to consider. Something to consider. Portal reroll.
Spell damage on the main, about a 10% on the true damage coming back. But Ari spell is also already pretty hard to hit as is. That being said, there's an Ari Zoe build that's doing very well. I imagine this will be pretty good.
Ari, you have to position a lot when you play Ari. So I learned this from Tanner from China. I think I learned this from Keywords Tanner. Sorry. I think I learned this from Tanner. Ari is very positioning based. So you want to leave a gap in your front line where you put your front line like 2 or 3 here, a very strong tank over here, and then a large gap in the middle, and then put Ari on your back line in front of that gap, so that Ari will target the unit that is attacking your middle tank, and then the other frontline units will wrap around your tank, and then Ari's cast will go through the units who have wrapped on your tank, and will hit your target as well. So a lot of Ari is actually very positioning based, so that's something to consider when looking at her stats and stuff like this, because I actually think reroll Ari is very good with the reroll Zoe setup. I think that's very good. Just it requires a lot of thinking.
Galio gets to be tanky. This will help out Portal. This will help out Mage. So Galio gets to be a little bit tankier. Kassadin, probably the surprise of the PBE. I think near the end of PBE, people started figuring out how to play Kassadin, and once they did, he was very strong. There were some predictions that he was going to be like here, but he couldn't quite live up.
Kassadin's like really good for tempo. He's never really been that good. He's just really good for mid-game tempo, and in an environment of a 2-cost reroll meta, it makes that very good. Like he's very good on stage 3 and stage 4.
To the Syndra height. That being said,
at 2 and 3 star.
So he's going to get a bit less stacking damage, and then the shield is probably the bigger hit here, losing.
Unless like reroll warrior with like multi-striker side is good. Like I think Kassadin's probably dead from this, unless we have a 2-cost reroll meta. If we still have a 2-cost reroll meta, again, Kassadin gives you such good tempo. But I think he's probably dead from this. And if we had a 2-cost reroll meta, then Ari would have to be viable, and Ari's very good against Kassadin. So
pretty close to a little more than 10% here, almost 20% at 3 star.
My guess is that Kassadin build is dead.
Pretty big shield nerf for Kassadin
as primary. I don't think primary carry Kassadin's a thing anymore.
He's still strong from what we've tested on PBE. He's still very, very strong.
Unless he can be a carry and portal reroll, but he's usually not. I mean, because you can't get his other traits active.
So don't underestimate him. Don't look at this and go nerf unplayable. I think he'll actually still do just fine.
Again,
Kog'Maw 3, there was a little...
The reason why I say he may be unplayable is I think he's only good because of 2-cost meta. I don't think he creates the meta. He's good because the meta was 2-cost, because of Syndra. Syndra created the meta. And I think if the meta goes away from 2-cost, he will be unplayable.
Too much power
as
in
primary.
3 spell, especially when you compared him to other hunters. So Kog'Maw is going to get his spell nerfed. Pretty small nerf at 1 star, bigger nerf at 2, and pretty chunky nerf at 3 star.
3-star nerf is fine. I like that they didn't go too ham on the 1 and 2 star.
Kog'Maw not quite as strong. Plus, the thing to remember is Kog'Maw provides a lot of utility to his team.
Yep.
He's meant to be sort of next to the Jinx, powering that up, or a nice secondary carry. So won't
yeah,
be
I like these changes.
Could actually be less strong than the 3-cost Jinx.
These are good.
So, all right, and that's it for 2-cost, right? Nah, JK. Shyvana is getting a slight adjustment that should be a bit of a buff here. The spell will scale a bit better with AP and a bit less with HP. And the thing is, by the way, Shyvana was not meant to be a tank. Shyvana is meant to be sort of a magic fighter.
Okay.
It's going to have Bloodthirster, Crown Guard being really good items. Bloodthirster, Crown Guard, Warmogs is a really good combo. So we changed the class to Magic Fighter to hopefully...
Yeah, this is interesting. You may actually want to carry your Shyvana mid-game. We'll see.
They make those better. And then Syndra. Yeah, let's talk about Syndra. Look, we want to be really thorough here. We do not need Syndra dominating the meta for another patch. So we're going pretty hard here. The first one to talk about is actually the cast time. This is the biggest change.
Yes, this is what's most important. I'm going to talk before Mort talks. So something they did with this set, which is really weird, it's not weird. It makes sense. And maybe they've already started doing this and I just noticed, but it seems like everyone's attack speed and cast animations are so much quicker in this set. If you look, the general base attack speed across TFT is usually 0.7 is the average for like 1, 2, 3 cost, and a lot of the 4 costs who are not attack speed based units. Their base attack speed will be 0.7. But a lot of the spellcasters' attack speeds are now 0.75. Like Syndra, Cassio obviously makes sense. She's attack speed. And then the legendaries in 4 costs, a lot of them are 0.8, like the attack speed based ones. And that's pretty weird. It's not weird. It actually makes sense. It's so that you can build items like Nashers, Rageblade, Shiv. You can build those on AP units, and it doesn't feel wrong because their base stats can actually use the added attack speed. So that's actually a good change. But what they have to consider is for spellcasting based units like Syndra, their cast time needs to be a lot longer. Because right now, Syndra's cast time is 0.3 as you see it. She casts and then instantly goes back to attacking. I think it's very wrong that best in slot on Syndra is mana gain, Nashers, plus attack speed item. That's actually best in slot, usually. Like a Rageblade or a red buff. Like red buff is usually what most people recommend. That's what Dishup recommends. And anytime you do that, if you do that one game, you'll feel how powerful it is. And then those items also transition to a Karma. Like Rageblade on Karma with a Nashers is not even bad. Like that's weird, right? Because their cast animations are way too fast for spellcast-based champions. So this is exactly what they need to do. I actually see the quality of life change they were trying to do of adding base attack speed to all the spellcasters. I think that was actually great for the purposes of things like Nashers and that sort of thing. But yeah, they had to course correct with this. The cast times of these units are way too fast. Way too fast, especially Syndra.
Due to a change that went in at the last minute that probably shouldn't have, her cast time was 0.3 seconds, which is not standard. Every other champion is 1 second. Like that's normal for every champion in the game. Syndra should have been 1 second. What this did is this is why you're seeing.
Yeah, like whose idea was that? Like for real though, like because like this is so obvious to me. I didn't realize her cast animation was so short until I played her. And after I played her, I was like, oh my god, you built attack speed items on this girl. Like 100%, this is what you built on her. Like what? Her attack speed is so fast. Her cast animation is so fast. Like. Yeah, that's weird. Like whose idea? Like honestly, like no flame, but whose idea was that? That's like really unusual.
Attack speed items.
Maybe it's a new developer for TFT. You know, like I heard Mort make a post the other day. It's like, you know, it's a weird thing. What happens with long-standing games is like people like me who've played since set 1. I know about problems before they occur because I played the game for so long. But game designers and developers, they come in and out all the time. They jump between games and that sort of thing. And so when they come in, they might have an idea. But they'll have an idea for something and implement it. And someone like Mortdog could obviously see the problem, but he's not, you know, micromanaging the whole game. And someone like me can obviously see the problem. I wasn't aware that her cast time was so little, but if I had known, then I would have been like, oh, this is a problem, you know? Until I played her. I didn't play a lot of her on the PvE. Honestly, I just knew she was OP and I didn't want to really practice her. I figured she'd be nerfed, you know, but she wasn't. She was buffed. So, yeah, so that's really, really weird. But I'll just let Mort take it away.
Better on her than like mana items is because she could just plow through and keep on attacking.
Yeah.
This was not intended. So this is the biggest nerf there. That being said, on top of that, she is doing too much damage, so base damage is going to go down about 10%, splash damage as well.
Yeah, my prediction for this change is that if you get Syndra on stage 2 with a mana gain or attack speed item, she's going to be very good still. If you don't get that, you don't force into it. So I still think she's going to be viable if you're high rolling it like she's supposed to be. Like she's supposed to be a champion. You get it at the beginning of the game and you get to do the stacking dream. But right now she's just like you roll for it and it doesn't matter. As long as you get 60 stacks by stage 4 or 60 stacks by 5-1, you're bing chilling.
And then her scaling is going to get hit as well. So
yeah,
this will hopefully make her feel a lot closer to intended. We've seen her definitely not be the free win that she is on live on PvE, but we've also seen her still do well if you get her early and get her stacking with like a Shojin.
Absolutely. She should.
Don't underestimate her and think her she's dead. But she's definitely not the, you know, better.
You know, this actually,
she is on live.
This buffs her adaptive build a lot more as well. Like adaptive is actually probably a more viable item on her now because right now it's just Shojin. I mean, she's so OP you can build whatever, but maybe adaptive would be more viable on her.
You know, in the world where this isn't enough, I'd be shocked, but you know, I also know people are pretty sick of Syndra, so we'll keep an eye on it.
I think this is enough.
The cast time here is the biggest change because all the attack versions are going to get hit in the teeth with this one.
Yes. So. Very good.
All right, Katarina. Katarina feels like one of the 3 costs that's really hard to play.
She needs to be buffed.
And yes, this means she's getting a buff. Warrior 4 and 6 is getting a buff. Fairy 4 and 6 is getting a buff.
All right, guys. I mean, we'll have to figure out what type of meta we're in. If we're in a 3 cost, we're in a 4 cost. Have to figure that out, of course. But assuming that 3 costs are viable, I think Katarina is going to be good. I think she's almost viable. She's like almost viable in this really strict meta, mainly because Tristana is really good, and you get to reroll Tristana and Katarina at the same time. You do like a 4 fairy setup, and if you get an emblem, you do 4 warrior, right? Since they buff 4 warrior. Right now, you don't do 4 warrior, no way. But I think Katarina is very close to the meta if the meta wasn't so oppressive. So I think this buff, along with the warrior, along with the fairy, along with the nerfs to the oppressive champions like Syndra, I think Katarina is going to be very good next patch if 3 costs are viable. That's my prediction. We'll see.
Yup, that's true. Will it make her meta? Hopefully.
420.
Will it make her S tier? Probably not. So give her a try, though. We've definitely seen some Katarinas doing well here. Wukong,
yeah, I think she'll be strong.
It's going to be a little surprising to people, but the big thing to call out here, it is mostly a 1-star buff. You can see 50 shield at 1-star, 20 at 2-star, 0 at 3-star. If you told me the
does Wukong ever go on your board if he's 1-starred? Like, real talk?
3-star was actually supposed to be nerfed a little, I believe you. That being said, it's not like Wukong is dominating.
I think 3-star is very good.
Or anything like that. But he did need the buff at 1-star and 2-star, so he is going to get those. Like,
keep in mind, they did nerf Preserver, which also makes him very good. So
it wouldn't surprise me if there's a follow-up nerf on 3-star later.
Yeah.
But we want Wukong to be the champion that if you get out of an orbit 2-1, you're like, yes, let's go. Solid early game.
Really? So they do want you to play him as a 1-star and 2-1, which, I mean, sometimes you do, but he just costs too much gold early on in the game when you're trying to like actually think about the real comp you're going to play. But now when you get him a 3-cost drop, yeah, you should play him. Like Mort just said, yeah, with this shield buff, yeah, probably just play him and then build your comp around him for your mid game and then kind of figure out what you're playing. Kind of will have to depend on the meta, of course, but like, yeah, like Mort was saying, I never play him on my board if he's 1-starred. He just costs too much gold and doesn't give me direction. But now that they're buffing him, they want you to play him that way. If they want you to play him that way, probably try to play him that way with this buff right here. So if you get him out of an orb, yeah, try playing him. It's just weird. He does weird stuff to your direction. So I see what they're trying to do here, but I don't know.
But he should fall off compared to like a Vex 3 with traits or a Swain 3 with traits or a Nemo 3 with traits. He's supposed to have a lower cap. Higher start, lower cap, and so that's why we're buffing the 1 and 2-star. So I
like the philosophy, makes sense to me.
All right, 4-cost Karma. Karma's ability was a pretty neat design, but it was frankly a bit overloaded, and a lot of people would read the tooltip and go, "Huh? I don't get it." A lot, if not most of our
it is
players
confusing.
Realized she had a heal. We like her damage high, but we removed the heal. The heal was very confusing.
Yeah,
it would work with certain builds.
I think it's a good change considering you already build Gunblade on her anyways. So
really well, in other builds, not at all. The fact it was proximity healing was very confusing.
Yeah, that was confusing.
So she loses the heal.
Yeah, I'm with you.
If you want her to heal, build a Gunblade. So yeah, but her damage is still just as good, so she should be fine. Rise gets a small buff here.
Can they just not buff Rise's damage, and can they just give him a faster cast time? Just a slightly faster cast time?
Here, may need more later. I know Rise is struggling on live. This is a very small buff. But
so, like, I just want him to have a faster cast time. Not necessarily he has to have it. Like, maybe this damage buff is enough, right? Maybe this is exactly the buff he needs to make him balanced, right? I just think he feels really bad to play. Like, he feels not good. It feels really bad when he's channeling and you die. Same thing with Varus, and they're going to fix his channel time, right? Like, it just doesn't feel good as a player, so I'd rather than buff it in that way just so it feels better when you're playing the game. Personally.
Rise, but he is getting a buff. Tom Kench.
Yeah, he needs this buff. He's like getting like the Nautilus treatment right now from Fables, from whatever. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. The CC unit that would never cast until like 2 months into the set. Yeah, he definitely needed a small HP buff for sure.
Really, really powerful champion.
Without items, he doesn't cast. Like,
people play him in Arcana
so often.
Like, probably the best itemless champion to put in your comp. But if you invest him as a tank, it feels pretty bad.
Yeah.
So he's getting 50 HP.
Yeah, he needs 50 HP so you don't have to put items on him because it does not feel good to put items on him, but you feel like you need to, so he'll cast.
We'll see how this one lands, but for now, Varus is going to get his...
This is a very good change. I think Varus has a lot of damage. He just sits in the air like a dumbass jerking off for too long. Like, what's going on?
Channel time reduced. I still think there's a lot of work to do with the spell. The number of times you hit like a solo tank or, you know, just feels like you whiff. There's still work to do here, but for now...
Yeah, can it like splash to further hexes? Because when you're just like isolate, hit a unit, and then like there's like 3 backliners, 1 tank, and you're just sitting here stuck on this thing. Can we get like a 10% splash or like a splash to like the 3 closest units, and the further they are away, they lose like there's damage fall off per hex. Like that'd be cool, right? So you can at least do some splash damage and feel terrible.
At least let him go back to auto attacking. He often has really strong AD items. So at least you can get back to those.
Yeah, this also will make Rage Blade a lot better on him. So the blaster buff and his channel time buff will make Rage Blade a lot better on him. So if we do end up being in a 4-cost meta where you build Rage Blade to try to flex Rise, Callista, Varus, that should be a lot more viable.
Doesn't get those to hit. So
a lot more viable.
You'll still get those. Again, we'll keep an eye on things like Rise and Varus. Didn't want to swing too hard, but Varus should get a little better here. And then last is Briar. Briar just a little underperforming for where we want her. Obviously, everything feels like it's underperforming compared to Syndra, but even for Briar...
Yeah, it's really hard to judge 5 costs and stuff right now because the thing is, it's just like, again, the meta is just so oppressive.
We wanted 5 extra AD, so that if you invest in that Briar hit too, she can be quite strong.
It's really hard to tell.
A few people are saying, why no Olaf buff? Remember, we did buff Frost. Frost is the buff that Olaf received. Don't want to swing too hard.
Frost, so keep in mind, Frost is buffed. Varus is buffed. You commonly play Varus with Olaf, not all the time. In Syndra, a frontline destroying champion is nerfed, right? A lot of frontline destroying stuff is nerfed. So keep that in mind.
All right, on the item side, Dragon Claw and Dragon Will. If you compare these items to the Anima Visage, frankly, they were overlapping too hard. And Dragon's Claw, when you look at it and the amount of stats it was giving, was over budget.
Yeah, maybe, but also the meta is extremely AP centric. So if you look at stats, Dragon Claw is going to be OP. But maybe more to cook in here.
Really is just too good. So we are nerfing Dragon Claw's healing and Dragon Will's max HP. We like that the Radiant has that heal. That's okay. It's a unique thing. But, you know, Dragon's Claw is getting a bit of a nerf here. Blacksmith's Gloves, losing its base HP a little bit. It's a very powerful item. Doesn't need that much base HP. Mogul's Mail, same thing. This item is very, very good. 50 HP off. And then Needlessly Big Gem quickly became the best support item in the game. It's going to lose that 5% damage amp from its start and max.
Cool.
Should still be good. But, yeah.
Cool. I agree.
All right.
Cool.
Augment,
Good changes.
1 of 4. Yes, augments, like I said, there's a lot of really cool, fun augments this set, but the balance on them, a little off. So a lot of big augment changes here. Let's run through them. Silver augments, beggars can be choosers. This is a very fun augment now that gives 7 gold. The way you need to think of this is very similar to like 1s, 2s, 3s. You're mostly taking it for the 7 gold. It's like a 7 gold silver, but you get 4 augment rerolls, and you can use that to kind of force some stuff. I actually managed to pull it off on PBE. So pretty good for a silver now. Should make it better. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try that out. 7 gold for 7 gold for a silver is always good, no matter what it does.
And then bonus HP has been buffed.
Okay, hey guys, this is a massive buff to Katarina, massive buff to warrior reroll builds, to Nyla, Akali, this thing. Good catch here on item collector and keepers is that he may be nerfing for this for different reasons, but also item collector and stuff like keepers are some of the best augments in warrior reroll, Katarina reroll, you know, which is a warrior, right? You know, multi-striker reroll, that sort of thing. And I think some of those comps could be meta next patch, especially the Katarina warrior stuff. So this is a good catch here, but Find Your Center is very good on those comps as well.
OP for silver, now 5 HP per item. You still get the rest of the stats. Keepers, probably due for a nerf for a while. Gets a nerf. 1, 2, 3, little over our gold.
Too much gold.
One of the 1-cost champions, bringing it down 1.
I take this all the time as an econ augment. It's so good.
Gold. On the house, this augment was bad. There wasn't a number to really buff it without making it become this really tedious thing where you're supposed to buy every 1 cost and sell them to get the gold. So on the house is removed. Restart mission gives you an extra 2-star 2 cost. I think this augment's going to be great for a silver now if you're willing to take it. And then row rejuvenation, 1% more base omnivamp. Cool. That's it for silver.
Wait. Take me back. Number of 2-star 2 cost. What?
2 cost
seems very good. Oh, the
restart
mission.
Row
Restart
rejuvenation, 1%.
Restart mission. Oh, okay.
Omnivamp. Cool.
Okay. That's a 3-2 augment.
Arcane Conduit.
Okay.
This is the Arcana augment. This one was not very fun, not very good, and way too hard to play. It's been removed.
Yeah.
Avenge the Fallen gets a small buff.
It's way too hard to play.
You'll get even more base stats. Built Different is now exclusive with 2 tanky. Built Different plus 2 tanky is just way too good, much like Trouble before.
Yep.
Caramelized Comforts. This is the Sugarcraft trait augment. Gets a buff of 10 HP per item and another 2% gold chance per item. We literally just tested this on PBE. It's pretty fun once you get it going. 60% chance to drop a gold with a 3-item carry.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
Clockwork Accelerator. This is going to tick much quicker. Backloaded augments are typically pretty...
Backloaded augments are dog shit, and I hate them.
Weak right now. That being said, this is a big buff to this augment.
This is a big buff.
You had it 20 seconds, you'll now have it 15 seconds. So
guys, think about what I talked about earlier. Stall portal reroll. Think about it. Could be a thing. Who knows? Stall portal reroll. Think about it. Bastion, vertical Bastion with 4 Scholar backline. Rise. Think about it. Could be a thing, guys. Think about it.
Very large buff here. We'll see if it makes a difference. But again, backloaded augments are always a little rough. Draconic Mastery. This is the dragon trait augment that was basically impossible to play and kind of really poorly worded. Has been removed. Endless Hunt. This augment was not
Dragon Mastery sucks.
Required you to... Hunters already have to get a kill to get their AD. You had to keep getting kills to snowball off of that. And so if you were behind it all, this augment was terrible.
Yeah, it just sucks.
So Endless Hunt has now been reworked to be called Hunting Frenzy. It will now give hunters an execute below 12% and 10% attack speed. So the execute...
It turns them into executioners.
Will allow them to get their proc, which will allow them to get their AD and hopefully help them
out.
So give it a try.
Awesome.
Eternal Growth Plus, 40 HP less, just a little too good early. Explosive Growth Plus, this is the one on 4-2. 1 more XP per turn for 4 turns. Fast Forward, I believe this is the Chrono one. Will give you more attack speed. Cool. Fortune Favors the Bold. This augment right now, I believe, has the highest win rate in the game, even higher than Golden Egg. Probably not correct. So Fortune Favors the Bold. 8 and 10 loss cash outs have been nerfed even more. If you want to really win with this augment, we want you to have 11 loss or higher. 10 loss should be like a top 4. 9 and 8, it should feel like a normal augment. So the 8 to 10 loss has been nerfed. And some of the 13 and 14 loss cash outs, if you can get to if you hit the 13 or 14, we want you to win the game. Like, that's probably a win. So, yeah. Flexible.
You know, I don't like this change, but it's just because how I personally like playing Fortune. I like the loss streak on stage 3 or stage 2 and 3, and then win out 4 and 5. I don't play for the first place win out because I usually can just win off of that, off of just having a big lead in the mid game. But now it really incentivizes you have to lose all the way till 4-5, you know, 4-5-ish, 4-4, or I mean 4-3. Yeah, it's just a little bit more risky, but you guarantee win the game now. I mean, that's fine. It's just not what I like. I mean, that's fine. That's just not what I like.
Has been nerfed. Instead of getting an emblem every stage, it'll only be the first 3 stages, meaning you only get 3 emblems from flexible.
Ooh, yeah, I just took this yesterday.
High horsepower. This is the.
It did feel very strong, even in this strict meta. So I can imagine when the meta is not super strict, it'll be very good. So that's a good catch, probably.
The worst performing hero augment in the game. Now
yeah, it's bad.
A bunch more attack speed and more ability damage amp. Keep in mind, she also got that mana buff. Will all of this combined make enough?
Make enough?
We'll see. All right.
Why speak so many word? Speak less word. Save time.
On to higher education. This is the mage one. The mana spend required to proc it has gone down. Oh, no, this is the scholar one. Excuse me. The mana spend required to proc it has gone down. The attack speed has gone up. Cool.
Guys, reroll Scholar Bastions. Scholar vertical into Rise Bastions. Scholars. Think about it.
2, again, too strong. It's nerfed.
Think about it.
Keepers should be colored red, not green. That's a nerf. Molten Caramel. This is the Rumble hero augment. This gets buffed. More Omnivamp, more ability damage. Should be good. Pilfer, really fun augment, really good. Doesn't need 4 starting gold. Gonna take that away for now.
Yeah, Pilfer's broken.
Very good augment. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Puts it in a bad place. Probably still one of the better 2/1 augments.
Yeah, it's good.
Practice partners. This is the main.
It did not need 4 gold.
5 mana now instead of 4. Press the attack again. Apparently I'm colorblind and can't make colors the right thing. This should be red. This is a nerf. Press the attack. Getting nerfed for multi-strikers. It's already a very good augment. Row Rejuvenation 2. Small 1% Omnivamp buff.
Buff to reroll warriors. All warrior-based comps. All multi-striker-based comps. Keep that in mind.
Cool. Okay, School Mascot. This is another very powerful augment that's been doing really well. It no longer has a death cap.
Honestly, probably very good with Scholars as well. The Scholar backline with the Bastion frontline. Okay,
but it's losing the second item. It's losing the death cap. So when you see this number as a buff, remember that it just lost a death cap, which is 50% AP, 20% extra damage amp. That's gone. But that would have made it too weak, so the HP goes back up to 10%, the AP goes to 30%. But again, this is a very large nerf to School.
Yeah, this is a nerf.
Spellblades, this gets a bit of a nerf. Very good in the Zoe comp. Honestly, good in a bunch of other comps as well.
Yeah, this augment is way too good in all the AP comps. Yeah, probably good nerf.
But Spellblade's getting nerfed. Support Golem no longer offered on 2-1. This
too
is
broken.
To be a nerf. Support Golem is very, very powerful on 2-1.
It's so broken.
We're purposely saying, nope, you've got to wait for it when the Golems don't make quite as big a difference. Sweet Tooth, going to lose 100 bonus HP. Honestly, Sweet Tooth is still probably going to be a very good.
Probably still be very good. It really depends on what else is happening in the game. Like if people are 3-cost rerolling, then yeah, this shit will still be really good. But if we're in a 4-cost, 5-cost meta, I could definitely see a world where we're in. I think there's many different pathways for where the meta could go from these changes so far. If the meta is rerolly with a sprinkle of 4-cost and 5-cost comps and stuff like that, then this will be super good still. If the meta is more about 4 and 5 costs with a sprinkle of reroll, like the opposite of that, then I don't think this augment. I don't think this will be very good.
Good hero augment.
We'll just have to see what people are playing.
Too much. 3's a crowd. Gonna get buffed. Hopefully, help some 3-cost reroll comps. Have that augment.
Can't see the buff
Trait
though.
Tracker. Trait Tracker was meant to
3's a crowd.
Be a high risk augment.
Could be a 3-cost reroll meta, guys.
Like you have to figure out the comp, put it together.
See.
But it turns out when you get it with flexible, it's like, guess I win. So they're now mutually exclusive. You cannot get Trait Tracker and flexible together.
Oh yeah, that should be broken.
2 healthy. 2-cost reroll doing very good right now. It's gonna lose.
They nerfed 2-cost reroll.
Here, yeah. Vertically inclined, a little weak, so it's getting a buff, and will no longer offer it on 2-1 when it's bad. So you'll get it later, not earlier. Witchy Wallop, this is the Poppy hero augment, damage up, and the time between wallops is going to go down, so it'll look smoother, it'll feel smoother, and is tech.
Why are they buffing this? Why are they buffing this when they buffed Ari? They didn't nerf Zoe at all, which I don't think she needed a nerf. Why are they buffing this when that's already a really strong comp and it's like the easiest comp in the game to play? They buffed Ari, they buffed this augment. Well, this augment is one of the augments that enables that comp.
Technically a buff. Worth the wait. This is the one that gives you a bunch of 1 costs. The turn delay will be a little later, so you'll get.
Well, it's a very small buff, but
star 1 cost even sooner. Now on to Prismatic. Anger Issues. This is the fun Ginsu's. Lots of Ginsu's one. We like this augment. It falls.
Yeah, this augment is dog shit.
Falls off way too hard. It's going to give you 5 more armor and MR per Ginsu's, so you can actually.
Maybe that'll be viable with just Callista builds. I don't know.
Frontline with this. Hopefully that'll help.
Rise cast animation too long.
Now grants a Prowler's Claw. Yes, apparently we got rid of Prowler's Claw and it's now Claw. It's definitely not a typo. But it used to give that and then a Gold Collector 3 turns later. Instead, it's going to give you that and an Infinity Edge right away.
Yeah, this shit is dog shit. So yeah, this is a very good change.
Those 2 items synergize really well, and you get them early. So hopefully this
very
should
good change
to the augment.
It's a very good change if you want to use the item. It might be broken. If Warrior reroll is good, this might be broken. We'll see. Like maybe Nyla is going to be really good this patch.
Vanilla, the Akali, stuff like that.
Yeah.
At what cost was giving 16 bonus XP? That's going to go down to 8. Probably didn't need 16. Dark Alley Dealings. This is the one that gives you the trench coat. It's going to be delayed Only 3 turns now, so that's going to go down.
Cool.
Giant and Mighty, this is one of our new generic combat augments that just gives HP, a lot of HP. It's going to lose 25 off
That's
base.
fine.
Immovable Object, another really good generic combat augment that gives 70 armor and MR to the team. That's going to go down a bit.
Yeah, that needs to be nerfed, I think.
Better. Prismatic Ticket, chance to proc has gone down and no longer offered on 4-2. Hopefully the no longer offered on 4-2 is a buff. This one's questionable, but we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's hit or miss there. It really depends on what the meta is. If it's a 3-cost reroll meta, then this is a nerf. If it's not, then it's a buff. It really depends.
Support Golem 2, same.
I think we could be in a 3-cost reroll meta, by the way.
The Support Golem 1, no longer offered on 4-2. That's meant to be a nerf. And then the last one here. So What the Forge has some of the worst stats you've ever seen in an augment.
So bad.
Really, really bad. A lot of people don't know how to play all the artifacts. You get random artifacts. You don't have a ton of control.
It looks like 230.
By the way, not 4-2. Oops, that's a typo. But What the Forge, we're going to take a stab here. We buffed it up pretty heavy.
It looks like it's going up to 230 there. Mort's camera is covering it.
That being said, it might still be bad, but we really didn't want to remove the fun for people who really like playing with all the artifact combinations. So we want to see if we can get this augment to be a little bit better. That being said,
it's really bad, but at 230 health, maybe it'll be good. I don't know.
If it's still bad here, we might just have to cut it. So, all right. Small augments. Yes, that's right. A 5th bonus page of augment changes. Bastion Crown's getting buffed will now grant a Shen. Blaster Crown's getting buffed will now grant an Ezreal. Is that a buff if Ezreal's bad? Scholar Crown will now get
What's 3 gold?
a buff and grant a Bard
Tristan is a better unit probably though.
and a better item, Spear of Shojin instead of Guardbreaker.
Ooh,
And
Spear of
Blossoming
Shojin?
Lotus, will no longer be offered on 2-1 when it was weak. So Blossoming Lotus, still a good augment, just comes on lane later.
Oh, that's very good.
So with
Very
this
good
patch,
quality
we're
of
gonna
life
add
change.
40
You're down an augment every time you're offered that. Oh, there's charm changes, man.
charms, and who knows? We might keep adding new charms every patch. Charms, like I said, are a pretty fun
Yes.
mechanic. They've landed
Yes.
really well.
Yo, you know what I want really bad is for them to rotate charms.
So let's talk about the 4 new charms. The first one's called Copycat. 1 gold, stage 2 and 3. Get a 1-star copy of the first enemy unit to die next combat. So you kill a 1 cost, you break even. You kill a 3 cost, sweet, plus 2 gold. Good stuff. Ironclad Spirit and
Cool.
Mystic Spirit. These are some late game combat augments. If you need some armor or some MR based on who you're
Oh,
facing.
cool.
you know you're
I like
facing
these.
them.
I like
You can
these. I like
double team
these.
Some armor and MR. Good stuff. And then Spawn Swarm. This is 4 gold on stage 5+. Your first 2 front row units spawn a Voidling after death. So
Oh, cool.
if you wanted that, cool.
Awesome.
Back row Star. This is the one that gives 1 back row unit 40% attack speed. It's been buffed down to 2 gold.
Nice. Very good.
Desperate Plea. I'm sure a lot of people are happy to see this. Desperate Plea is being removed. That being said, I do want to call out it will likely be back in some form. I'm not ready to talk about what that form is. I think we have a rework we're pretty happy with. But for now, it's going away.
Really more?
Enhanced.
Why
This
does it
is
have to
getting
come
buffed down
back?
to 1 gold. Okay, Gear Swap. So Gear Swap is the one, by the way, that would give you a Remover and Reforger temporary for 0 gold. We've removed that, but I'll fast forward to the line later. We replaced it with Tinker, which will give you a Remover and Reforger for 0 gold all game. So basically, there's no such thing as a temporary Remover and Reforger. You can just get a Remover and Reforger. This should just be a net buff if you like getting a Remover and Reforger. So no one should be sad about Gear Swap being removed. Minor Gambit. If you win, only getting +1 gold felt lame. You get +2 gold. Sweet. Phantom Emblem. This one's being buffed down to 6 gold. Shivanate. This augment is silly. It was meant to be silly, but having to wait until stage 3 before you could get it makes it pretty bad. It was like literally only good on 3-1. So now it's offered in stages 2 and 3. I think it will now be a very powerful charm in 2 like stages.
We'll see.
So expect to see this bot a lot. Summon Dragon. This is a very powerful charm. It's going to do less damage by about 10%. This is a 10% damage.
Should still guarantee winning the round. I mean, you're supposed to guarantee win the round when you get the dragon.
Nerf, all
So
of its damage is based off its AD, so that will be nerfed.
Yeah.
Might have to go harder. We'll see.
yeah, I
The
think so.
Star, this is one of the Xerath charms. This is being nerfed up to 7 gold. Tinker, we already talked about, is now 0G and is offered all game.
Cool.
And Treasure Party is being buffed down to 6 gold. So, like I said, expect to see us make these kind of adjustments throughout the rest of the set. And who knows, more new charms, right? New charms will be fun.
Yeah, I love charm rotation. I think it's cool.
Hyper Roll for players who like Hyper Roll. Dummies and golems
Who
level up 1
cares?
stage later. Then when we're at multiply, so Frost 2 gold and
You
hyper.
done?
Cases where Gwen
Okay.
can fail to cast and then be stuck for several seconds. Thank God. Hopefully Gwen is now exciting and fun to play now.
Oh, they didn't fix that?
Sweet. Kalista
they
no
fixed
longer
that.
throw extra spears on her first attack each combat. Good. I like it when champs work good. Portal effects no longer miss when an allied Krug is the only unit alive. Cool.
You know, it's a really big buff to 4 Warrior again, the Gwyn thing. I think 4 Warrior might be pretty good.
2 ranged units with tiny but deadly will no longer fail to attack each other. That's great. Placing Thieves' Gloves on a unit with a hero augment no longer removes the buff from them. There you go. So for some of you who are experiencing like your Deja losing the attack range, that was why. That's been fixed. Accomplice Gloves now correctly counts as 2.5 items for the purpose of strongest unit.
Cool.
Yumi can no longer spawn on the enemy side of the board and eat the unit in that slot. Yumi now correctly attaches to a new unit on combat start if her host was sold. Fixed a bug where frost statues could fail to spawn or spawn with incorrect health. It was possible to have them spawn with like exactly 1 health if they spawned on the wrong tick. That's been fixed. The Assassinate charm now properly shows a stealth effect on the unit that will leap during combat. This one's great because you click it and you're like, who's going to jump? Now it's very clear. The Bunch of Belts charm now properly makes champions larger when they're equipped with the effects of Giant's Belt. Get it? Giant's Belt. And Hyper Roll, Scuttle, Puddle, and Soul on stage 8 are no longer massive. Sweet. And the Overachiever's Portal will now properly show all charms a stage earlier than normally possible. So, and there you go. That's a patch. It's a pretty sizable patch. Like I said, a lot of augments, a lot of champions. If there's something you feel like we missed, let
All right, guys, I'm gonna give a little bit of prediction. It's gonna be hard to go through the. I'm not gonna go back through the slides because we are looking at it on Twitch because Mortdark has not uploaded it to YouTube yet. I was waiting, but he never uploaded it. Probably uploaded now. But so I'll just kind of try to remember here and give some closing thoughts. I think there's a lot of pathways this patch could go down. Honestly, like if I'm going to try to sit here and predict the meta, like full stop, I'm not going to be able to do that because we are coming out of such a closed meta. It's really hard to know what's going to be like OP or whatever, what's going to be crazy. Because again, I think a lot of the comps are actually viable. I think a lot of the forecasts are actually good. That's why you didn't see a lot of changes. I think Olaf is actually good. Callista is definitely good. I think Varus with these changes will be good. I think a lot of these buffs here will make Rise good. But like a lot of these champions were already good, right? It's just they were so oppressed by Syndra, and by Syndra being so oppressive, it made all the other 2-cost reroll comps way better than the 4-cost comps just due to lobby tempo. But now the lobby tempo will be completely different. So it's really hard to know what's going to be OP. But here's things that I will say. I predict, if I have to predict a meta, I think it'll be a mixture of 3-cost reroll and 4-cost being the core of the meta. That's my idea. That's my prediction, is mostly a 3 and 4-cost meta with a sprinkle of a lot of viable 1-cost reroll comps and some 2-cost reroll comps. That is my prediction. But keep an eye out for reroll warriors. Maybe that will just take over the meta, but I don't think it'll be oppressive enough like Syndra is to warp the entire game around it. But consider that. The other thing to strongly consider is I think it's very easy to fast 9 in this set. It's just the lobby tempo is so insane. And fast 9 boards are really easy to make because you just play around Arcana and you cap on Xerath or any other legendaries, but you always put Xerath on your board. So look out for some fast 9 strategies. I could definitely see us going into a fast 9 degenerate meta if people just do it and it works. If lobby tempo is built around 3 and 4 cost, it definitely is easy to go fast 9 in those because comps will not. Comps will be, if you're in a 3 and 4 cost reroll meta, usually a lot of comps are very weak on stage 3. And then on stage 4, people don't spike until like, they'll do their initial spike on 4-2, but won't truly spike until 4-5 a lot of times. And then people won't hit their 3-star 3 cost until 5-1 a lot of times, or 5-2, something like that. So if that is the environment that we enter into, a 3 and 4 cost meta being the core, then fast 9 will also be very viable, assuming the legendaries are good. And I think that they are. So again, in synopsis, my prediction is a 3 and 4 cost reroll meta, sprinkle of one cost. I think there'll be a lot of 1 costs that are viable. Sprinkle of 2 cost, with the potential of there being a degenerate fast 9 meta if we are playing around 3 and 4. That's my prediction. Anyways, guys, appreciate you. Follow my stream. Hopefully I'll be playing a lot of next patch. Again, I haven't been playing the game like hardly at all. Just been paying attention to the competitive scene and esports and stuff like that. Been keeping up with the meta, but hopefully next patch will be fun. I'll play a lot of games and you guys can come by to stream and hang out. Anyway, see you next time. Have a good one.